Now I'd like to invite His Excellency André Carstens, the Head of Mission, Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Bangladesh, to take the stage and share his valuable words with us.
Thank you very much. Dear friends, Shubho Shokal, together for a circular fashion tomorrow. That's our slogan. It's a pleasure to work together with you towards a sustainable future for the RMG sector. I am proud that we have gathered so many key players, individuals and organizations dedicated to the further development of the RMG sector. Please allow me to welcome three distinguished guests in particular. Saida Rizwana Hassan, Advisor for the Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Michael Miller, European Ambassador to Bangladesh. And 𝐎𝐩𝐞𝐬𝐧𝐢 Chowdhury, Executive Chairman, Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, BIDA. And of course our host, thank you. Also, a special welcome to the trade mission from the Netherlands, representing 18 companies, all of them eager to cooperate with your highly dynamic RMG sector. Bangladesh RMG sector is fundamental. It's the backbone of your economy, generating over 81% of export earnings and providing livelihoods for millions of people. Its remarkable growth has propelled Bangladesh to become the second largest garment manufacturer globally. The Netherlands values its partnership with Bangladesh and recognizes Bangladesh's leading role in the global apparel industry. I am particularly impressed by Bangladesh's achievements in green factory certifications, demonstrating a clear commitment to sustainable practices. The Netherlands is deeply committed to promoting sustainability across global value chain, including the RMG sector. Our multifaceted approach focuses on several key areas. First, responsible business conduct, RBC, where we advocate for international guidelines and work with companies from the Netherlands sourcing from Bangladesh to ensure due diligence and supply chain transparency. And secondly, social dialogue and worker empowerment, supporting initiatives that strengthen worker representation, promote freedom of association, and improve working conditions, including skills development and training. Thirdly, environmental sustainability, recognizing the industry's environmental footprint and supporting initiatives that minimize resource consumption, promote circularity, and reduce waste, with a particular interest in textile recycling and sustainable materials. Then number 4 is transparency and traceability, encouraging the adoption of new technologies that build trust and accountability. Finally, we prioritize collaboration and partnerships, understanding that collective effort is essential for lasting impact. This year's Sustainable Apparel Forum, with its focus on accelerating sustainability, is particularly timely, as Bangladesh RMG sector is a source of economic strength and continued growth. Some complexities are part of the process. Progress in areas such as green factories is commendable. Challenges related to resource management, the transition to renewable energy, and supply chain transparency remain. We are committed to working together with Bangladesh to navigate these challenges. We strongly support your mission to raise awareness, standardize sustainability goals, and enhance circularity and traceability. Today, we are bringing together all key players in the apparel value chain. Collaborative efforts are key to implement the sustainable solutions needed for Bangladesh to solidify its position as a responsible sourcing destination. This forum offers a crucial opportunity to accelerate progress in vital areas, such as driving circularity through innovative solutions for textile recycling, sustainable material sourcing, and closed-loop system. Enhancing traceability through technologies empowering consumers and stakeholders, and, thank you, thirdly, empowering workers by prioritizing their well-being through strengthened social dialogue, fair wages, and safe working conditions. Global dynamics, including evolving EU regulations and shifting consumer preferences, are reshaping the apparel industry for the European market. Consumers, especially our Gen Z, and here it won't be that much different, so the young generation are increasingly aware of the ethical and environmental implications of these choices, the choices they make themselves. They want to know where their t-shirt is from, etc. This demands a proactive approach where sustainability becomes a driver of innovation and competitive advantage. The upcoming LDC graduation of Bangladesh, which is a good development, of course, also requires enhanced sustainable competitiveness. This forum offers a space for knowledge sharing and building partnerships. The Netherlands is actively contributing to this effort for over a decade, and we will continue to do so in the years, decades to come. For example, we are accelerating circularity in the textile sector through a so-called hackathon for young change makers. In this hackathon, students from Groningen University, 𝐏𝐥𝐞𝐧𝐢𝐧𝐠 University of Fashion and Technology, and Bangladesh Apparel Exchange Development developed their early-stage business ideas to increase circularity. There was an overwhelming amount of applications, and 7 of these teams are showcasing their ideas here today, and I highly recommend you all to have a look after this session. So please give it a while and then have a look a bit later. Overall, we have a comprehensive multi-year strategy. This circular textile strategy aims to contribute to an improved enabling environment for a more circular, sustainable, and competitive ready-made garment industry in Bangladesh, one that complies with current and upcoming EU regulations and directives. This is being achieved via 3 market areas. Firstly, recycling of post-production waste. Secondly, traceability. And thirdly, circular production and design. On a government-to-government level, G2G, activities including a CERF track focus on advocacy and policy dialogue for circularity in the RMG sector, as well as capacity building for the local government on the evolving regulatory environment. Then, on a business-to-business level, we invest in trade missions, such as we are having this week, networking events, and pilot projects. Technical support to manufacturers, branch organizations, and the RMG industry focus on technologies such as recycling, traceability technologies, best practices, and improved cooperation between stakeholders in the value chain. So then we talk about brands and manufacturers. Circular practices, recycling of waste, increased use of green energy, the reduced use of chemicals and water. All these developments, all these changes, they will not just increase environmental sustainability. No, they will also improve profitability due to reduced costs. It's as simple as that. This strategy particularly focuses on climate change mitigation by decreasing the footprint of the RMG sector through the incorporation of circular practices. Concurrently, we are establishing a center for excellence or knowledge hub for universities, businesses, and government stakeholders on circularity. All these efforts are designed to foster innovation, promote knowledge exchange between the Netherlands and Bangladesh, and drive concrete action towards a circular economy in the fashion industry. We are especially pleased that this year's forum will showcase the expertise of 18 companies from the Netherlands, now in this forum visiting Bangladesh in Dhaka. And these companies drive concrete action towards a circular economy in the fashion industry. And well, these companies, as we know them, are all in the forefront of the circularity, traceability, energy, innovative design, and best possible use of materials. These companies embody the innovation and technological solutions that can bolster the RMG sector into the right direction. We see huge potential in this collaboration, and we are believing that together we can unlock new opportunities for growth, innovation, and a truly sustainable RMG industry in Bangladesh. We must move beyond incremental change, forget about the small steps, and we have to embrace transformative solutions that address root causes and accelerate positive change. I am confident that the discussions and collaborations fostered here today will significantly advance sustainability in the RMG sector. The Netherlands remains a committed partner on this vital journey. Together, we go for a circular fashion today and tomorrow. Daunabat.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency André Carstens, for your valuable words. Ladies and gentlemen, due to a prior engagement, our chief guest will be delivering her speech early in the session before she departs. We sincerely appreciate her time and presence with us today. With a round of applause, please welcome our chief guest, Saida Rizwana Hassan, Honorable Advisor, Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change and Water Resources, to say a few words.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me here, Excellencies and our friends from Netherlands. When I was not on this side of the table, one of the things that I would always dislike is the fact that the chief guests come, you organize an event, you want them to hear something, you want to convey some messages, but they will hardly have time. They will come, deliver their speech, and go. But now I'm doing the same thing because life is actually very, very complex here. Most of us are running more than one ministry and many departments. So it's a little crazy. I apologize for being a little rude in delivering my speech early, and then I'll have to leave. When I came here, I've come here with hope. And this is something that the country at this very crucial juncture needs. We all have to stay positive and make sure that the major sectors of the country are in order. The economic sector cannot sustain any major shocks. We, of course, had almost 16 years of a fascist regime. We know how our economy has suffered. And when we are looking forward to a new Bangladesh, we are looking forward to a Bangladesh where every Bangladeshi will have a decent job, as we say. And the economy will ensure a fair play, both at the domestic level and internationally when we engage. Garment sector is very, very important for the economy of Bangladesh, and it's a major sector that provides huge employment to our people. It has come a long way. It has absorbed many shocks, but the sector has actually demonstrated leadership. It hasn't broken, it hasn't fallen apart, it has come together and faced the challenges and is still going strong. So for that, I give credit to our business leaders and also to the countries who take products from Bangladesh. I would like to thank all of you who have placed confidence in our business community, have worked with our business community to improve both the environmental performance and the social performance in the garment sector. And today is actually a reflection of the confidence that you all have placed in our business community and our laborers for so many years. When we talk about sustainability, it's actually a very difficult test. Having a green factory or having the most number of green factories does not automatically suggest that your modus operandi is sustainable. Garment sector is an energy-intensive sector. It is a water-intensive sector, and it also requires you to have good practices for chemical management. Bangladesh, many would think, is a country that is abundant in water. That is not always the case. We do have industrial belts where the groundwater level is going down, and that is creating a negative impact for the communities who depend on groundwater for their everyday needs. As garment sector is a water-intensive sector, it is very, very important that they choose production processes that are less water-intensive, and they ensure that they reuse the water and do not create extra pressure on the aquifer. Last night, the Ministry of Water Resources was finalizing the industrial water use policy, and the government is seriously thinking of putting a charge on groundwater. So far, it has been coming free to most of the industries, but the government has to stop that process. We will categorize the industries, and the extremely water-intensive ones will have to start paying for the water that they're extracting. The government will definitely give incentive for recycling activities. So we want to engage with our business leaders to ensure that they use less water and they recycle and reuse their water. On electricity, our supply has not been very consistent, and we know the disaster we have in the energy sector because of over-reliance on import. I was really happy to hear that some of the garment industries, including 𝐏𝐴𝐺𝐬𝐧, are producing their own electricity demand from renewable sources. So I would urge the business community and our partners from Netherlands to really engage with their counterparts in Bangladesh so that they can switch from a fossil fuel reliant energy production to a renewable and sustainable energy production. Because I know that last year and the year before, many garment industries had to suffer because of lack of supply of energy to their industry. So it's important that we think about a solution that is sustainable, both for the country and for the industry itself. On chemical management, I know that when I was on the other side of the table, I was working with the Germans so that we can come out with a chemical waste management rule. In fact, a chemical management rule, and I just heard this morning that it is yet to be finalized. I think it's very, very, very important that the garment sectors have nationally endorsed chemical handling and management rules. And I must say that my ministry is committed to support you. Since we have a draft in hand, let us finalize it as soon as we can. Now, Bangladesh garments industry, which is always in the competition and has been facing the challenges, is also known for cheap labor. I think this is something that should go from the dictionary of the business. Labor should not be cheap. When we talk about sustainability, I think it has to be a shared responsibility of those who produce and the shared responsibility of those who actually consume it. If there is a call for sustainability on the producers, there has to be some degree of support that would also come to them. Creating a pressure for decent pay to the laborers has to be taken as a shared responsibility. So if we always want cheap products, we can't expect the laborers to be paid well. So I think in terms of, both for sustainable environmental management and for socially responsible business, the producers here in Bangladesh and those who are taking our products have to come together, and they have to have arrangements for cost sharing. Otherwise, for the middle range business and the small businesses, it will be an extra pressure which will not be sustainable. So I sincerely hope that the importers and exporters both will come together, will work on what should be called sustainability and what are the sustainable practices that we want to see in the textile sector, and we should also define the responsibility of each of the players, and we must ensure that we are not overburdening one of the actors while the other actor continues to get cheap products. If it is cheap, it will not be sustainable. For it to be sustainable, it has to be a fair play. I just hope that the Bangladeshi businessmen take the opportunity of the presence of 18 business houses with whom they have been engaging for many years. I hope we manage to get more orders this time, and we manage to really ensure that people who work for these textile factories continue to earn a livelihood that will be better, that will be that will really give them a decent living and will not treat them as cheap labor. So I really look forward to further sustainability, further improvement in the operation of the textile sector. This is truly the backbone of the economy of this country. So we look forward to strengthened partnership. We look forward to partnership that will be responsible and more accountable. Thank you so very much.
Well, if you allow me to respond a little bit. First of all, I didn't use the word cheap labor because in my view that is already a shadow from the past. But it's good that you remind us that decent labor, as you put it, is one of the key principles. And well, all of our companies and we as an embassy are committed to this aspect of sustainability, as you phrase it. Then, secondly, it's interesting that your government is considering to charge water consumption, groundwater consumption. Well, we as a similar country with a lot of water, we have a similar struggle because, well, we already are charging the use of water for many years. However, we realize that we are not charging enough because water is a precious source of production and life, if you like. So we share your concerns, and we believe you are making the right considerations in this aspect. And well, as you know, we have a joint agenda as well in the field of water. So it's not just garment industry, we have a lot in common to cooperate, and it will be a pleasure to continue our cooperation in these and even some other fields. Thank you very much.
Of course. Just two more points. One is about the due diligence principle that we see more and more European countries are incorporating in their domestic legislation. So I think Bangladesh businesses need to really prepare themselves to address that. And the other thing is about packaging. They're all packaging their products in plastic. And I know that some of the European countries are considering a ban on import of plastic packaging in their countries. So I think the industry leaders here will do good in investing for alternative packaging that will use less plastic. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, on the podium we have Chaudhry Ashik Mahmood bin Harun.
Good morning, and good morning. Assalamu alaikum, adab. Thank you everyone for being here, and thanks to the organizer for having me here as well. Okay, it's great to see many known faces today. This is a meeting for the future, which is also quite encouraging. Now, I think I've said this many times before. The case for Bangladesh has always been there, and we all are believers of that case. Some of the results we've seen in recent times also reflect the fact that the case is still there. So the exports in January are up 7%. If you look at the port volume in Chittagong port, it is actually up 13% year over year in 2024, despite the disruption we had in July, August. So clearly some things are moving in the right direction at a macro level. But it's also great to have these meetings where we talk about things from 41,000 feet and see how we can devise a future that looks like something like a Singapore or a Sweden or Netherlands. But my real question is, how do we translate that into executable solutions on the ground. What are we going to do in next 6 months? What are we going to do in next 9 or 12 months? And the theory of change usually tells you that obviously there will be many challenges, but we have to find quick wins. We have to identify winners who will then push the rest of the system to find new winners. So sitting in the BIDA shop and the Economic Zone Authority shop, I can share with you what are we trying to do to find quick winners. First of all, you may have seen or heard that we originally had a vision in Economic Zone to build 100 economic zones. We have cut it down to 5. We said that we need to find economic zones that are actually usable, and to do 100 is not really practical for a country of our size. But what do we do with the unused 95? And one of the solutions that we are now working on with a lot of multilateral agencies and banks is to convert those into solar parks. So how do we ensure that there is enough renewable energy at source? And as you know, Bangladesh is a very landlocked country, and finding a good piece of land to do solar project has been the biggest challenge in solar industry. So what we're trying to do is all these unused lands that we know that are not going to be industrialized in next 10 to 15 years, we're going to give them out to do solar projects. There's one pilot that's being worked on in the National Economic Zone near Chittagong, and hopefully you will see some material progress in the next 3 to 6 months on that. I'll give you another example. We've tried to use the NAS theory by Richard Thaler, where we talk about that you have to push the system, push the government to somehow perform. And we've made the one-stop service data public. I don't know if any of you have looked into the BIDA website in recent times. So historically, in BIDA website, you would go into the website and you would be able to apply for a one-stop service solution, a software solution, and getting different permits, registrations, all of that. What you will also see now, if you go to the website, is the government agency performance data. So if you had applied for a specific service, what percentage of those cases we were able to deliver within stipulated SLA? If the SLA was 3 days, how many of them we have delivered within 3 days? How many of them we have failed to deliver within 3 days? This data is actually now available in public domain. If you haven't tried it, feel free to have a look, and it actually ranks the government agencies based on the output that has happened so far. So these are smaller examples of what we could potentially do. I was speaking to a gentleman earlier today about repatriation law. We have a lot of foreign businesses here. I know that repatriation has been a big challenge. If you ask by paper, do we allow people to repatriate? Of course we do, but it feels like Hotel California to a lot of our investors because the process of going through it is so complex that they struggle to actually repatriate capital. If someone's coming to Bangladesh and wants to do business in Bangladesh, we should absolutely be very happy for them to do business here and then take their profit out. Through that process, by default, they're generating economic return for our country and our people anyway. So there's no reason for us to try to hoard the capital in this country. So that's another topic that we will really try to tackle while interim government is in play, and you will see material progress in next 3 to 6 months on repatriation. I know that interim government in a wider space, so the likes of our chief guest and the special envoy, they're looking at the labor rights and labor laws. I know we are quite far away from the ILO convention. That's something we've been talking about, harping on for a long, long time. We should also be seeing material progress on ILO convention or convergence towards ILO convention from Bangladesh's position in next few months. So if I try to go back to the future point that we as a country would like to be the leader in sustainable apparel by 2040. Let's assume that that's the collective vision of this room. I think my request to the room and the rest of the day would be, let's work together and try to identify executable quick wins instead of saying very generic items or talking about things that are that are 5, 10, 15 years away. They're great. They're fantastic to talk about. But at the same time, we just need to be realistic that if we always talk about sitting in A about Z, we will never go through B, C, D, E, F. And what we really need now from all of you is to push the government, push the system, push the business community, push the overall ecosystem to go from A to C, not A to Z in the next 6 to 9 months. So hopefully we will all work together, and I'll have a chance to speak to some of you later today and the rest of the time when you are here. It was great to see some of you in the ambassador's residence the other day. So thank you for visiting Bangladesh. And I'll close this with a small invite. As you may or may not have heard, that we are hosting an investment summit in April, April 7th to 10th. The registration is actually live. It's called summit.bida.gov.bd. So you're most welcome to visit Bangladesh around that time. It is hosted by our Honorable Chief Advisor. And we will try to make sure that you have a holistic experience of what Bangladesh has to offer as a package. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chaudhry Ashik Mahmood bin Haroon. Next, I'd like to invite His Excellency Michael Miller, Honorable Ambassador and Head of Delegation, the European Union Delegation to Bangladesh, to please come up and say a few words on this occasion.
Good morning, colleagues. And although Rizwana has left us, I do want to thank her for her intervention, for reminding us about the need for balance between producers and consumers, and for the vision she set out for the future of this industry. I want to also note the presence of Ashik, the Executive Chairman of BIDA, and Andre and Mustafiz for inviting me to address you this morning. So, at the outset of my remarks, I would like to thank the Apparel Exchange and the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands for organising today's Sustainable Apparel Forum. The forum plays a crucial role in mainstreaming discussions on social and environmental sustainability in the RMG sector, to ensure sustainability and because it is good for business. Circular practices save costs, help meet social and environmental requirements, and maintain market access for Bangladesh to your biggest customer, the European Union. The European Union's Everything But Arms preferential trade scheme has played a crucial role in the textile and apparel sector's growth, contributing greatly to Bangladesh's economic success. And last year, 2024, more than 90% of the 20 billion euros of exports from Bangladesh to the European Union came from textiles and garments. EU consumers have in turn benefited from good value and high quality products imported from Bangladesh, just the sort of balance Rizwana was referring to. As we look ahead, our partnership, the partnership between the European Union and Bangladesh, must evolve as the EU moves forward with social and environmental transition across all sectors of our economy. It must also evolve as Bangladesh prepares for LDC graduation. In the European Union, I can tell you that I was in Brussels last week, meeting with the presidents of each of the European institutions. And our message is clear. The world may be increasingly uncertain. Some of our partners are perhaps less predictable than we would like, but the European Union will keep the course on green transition, coupling competitiveness with decarbonisation in a joint roadmap. We see that decarbonisation makes us less dependent on others, whose security interests may be counter to our own. We see that circularity and bioeconomy are central issues to our competitiveness compass, and we see that green diplomacy must be explicit in the work of the new European Commission. Value chain transparency, colleagues, is important for our consumers, and we cannot, in addition, continue to import chemicals included in products that we then have to spend European taxpayers' money to clean up. It is not acceptable. In Bangladesh, the European Union offer is to partner with all of your stakeholders to ensure the success of the ongoing, very important political transition. Those issues I have just mentioned as driving the European Union's work on competitiveness and decarbonisation are central to the interests of Bangladesh, a country that, like the European Union, is vulnerable to climate change, and a country that, also like the European Union, sees the need to protect and promote rules-based international cooperation. In Bangladesh, the European Union is focused on promoting development and industrial strategies that align with global best practices and target the Sustainable Development Goals. Our focus, the European Union focus, is not shifting from economic and social development goals in this country, and this extends naturally to poverty reduction. There is a lot I could say on the need to align social, environmental, and human rights in this country with international standards. The key point I would like you to take home today is that we, as the European Union, we are determined to ensure a smooth transition for Bangladesh to the future GSP Plus trade regime post-graduation. We are, for example, supporting Bangladesh in the overhaul of its, frankly, outdated labour laws to ensure the protection of the fundamental rights of workers in this country. We are investing in environmental upgrades, and I want to underline that there can be no half measures. I want to underline the urgency of moving forward rapidly on these points. We anticipate meaningful reforms are taken forward by the interim government. We anticipate that those meaningful reforms bring about qualitative change. We need, as the European Union, to agree on what such qualitative change means, concretely, through policy dialogue with the authorities. This has to be about co-creation, building on the National Action Plan for Labour Rights, for example, which we have agreed with the Bangladeshi authorities. Now, 𝐎𝐸𝐞𝐧𝐢 spoke about coming down from 41,000 feet to the practical. I do want to underline that the European Union recognises this very important element. There are many challenges to the work ahead for Bangladesh as you move towards this more sustainable apparel sector. And I want to underline that we will be your country's reliable and steadfast partner in this work, including via our global gateway endeavours. 4 points I want to make. The first, on decent work. The European Union and our member states have a joint portfolio of over 50 programmes worth more than 700 million euros, striving to increase the sustainability and inclusivity of your economy, with improved livelihoods and decent employment at the centre of this work, meaning more and better jobs. The second, on the green energy transition, we are working again with our member states, including the Netherlands, to help Bangladesh build a power system that provides affordable, secure and clean energy, boosting renewables and reducing energy consumption and demand through energy efficiency measures. We look to Bangladesh to increase its ambition when it comes to renewables. The third is that the European Investment Bank, whose vice president was in Bangladesh just 3 weeks ago, that bank has announced that it plans to double its portfolio of lending in Bangladesh to approximately 2 billion euros in the near term, focusing on environmentally sustainable infrastructure projects. And the fourth is to recall that the European Union has, together with France and Germany, invested 64 million euros in safety for workers and environmental retrofits, working very closely with the Bangladesh Bank. Now, allow me to finish by underlining that the European Union is determined to work with Bangladesh to ensure the success of the country's ongoing political transition, and to ensure that this country is equipped with the capacity to provide opportunity to its youth, create conditions that allow the RMG sector to continue to thrive, but builds in far greater local value added, and finally, that leads to the diversification of this country's economy. This is in your interest, and when you are in my place, when you are the European Union investing around the world in the stability of your partners, this is also most definitely in our interest. Thank you for your attention.